To Sol Wisenberg, the former Whitewater Deputy Independent Counsel. Sol knows of what he speaks and speaking to this grand body. Sol, there was even talk that maybe as soon as today we'd get a decision on this. What do you think of that?
I think that's unlikely, but I agree it'll be pretty soon. And I agree with your comments, Neil. What a magnificent exercise here. The arguments on both sides are excellent. The questions are piercing. It really does a lot for the court's reputation, I believe, and for our country's.
Well, you know, one of the things, I don't mean to blow smoke, Sol, one of the things I love when I just hear you speak is it's calmly, it's rational. You might have very, in the eyes of some, be polarizing views. They're not polarizing to me, but you say it so damn eloquently that you forget, hey, I thought I was mad at Sol. But that's what I felt about in this argument back and forth. And you think in some of these crazy countries where rights like that are not granted, it is very uplifting. But that's just my naive Americana view of that. But I did want to get your thought on how important it is, let's say for the nation, that this decision not be along party lines or philosophies, that it be a substantial decision, maybe a unanimous one way or the other. But what do you make of that?
I think that is important, and I think you're going to see something close to that. You may have different reasons, different rationales for what the court majority decides, but if oral arguments mean anything, and they don't always, I think that there's going to be a substantial majority for an opinion that upholds, that reverses the Colorado Supreme Court. In order to get 8 or 9 votes, it might have to be on very narrow grounds, and there may be, like you say, different. There may be 6-3 for this position and 8-1 for another position. But I think it's pretty clear the Colorado Supreme Court is going to be overturned, and it's going to be overturned on grounds that make it clear that another state is not going to be able to try to do the same thing.
So Maine kicking around the same thing as we speak, that goes out the window too, and if that were the decision, right?
Yes, and all the justices seem quite concerned about the uniformity issue, about the fact that under Colorado's view of the 14th Amendment, every state gets to decide this on its own, and it's all okay because it's all going to end up at the Supreme Court. And there seems to be no justice who seems happy with that position.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, too? I got the same feel that the justices were kicked and dragging into this because they don't want a redux in 2000, and they don't want, that's the implication that the President of the United States was picked by the Supreme Court, depending, again, on your point of view. So they're looking at this case. They're looking at one that they might take up, might not take up, concerning whether the president can be shielded from suits in general, that he's exonerated from that. They might not even take that up. But again, just a couple of cases that they might be dabbling in, and maybe more. And they don't like that, do they?
Well, they don't like it generally, but they're not going to shrink from their responsibility. And you make a very important point. They're going to make a consequential decision on presidential immunity from criminal prosecution, whether they hear the decision from the D.C. Circuit or not. Because even if they deny cert, in other words, they say, we're not going to hear that case, the case on whether or not he's immune from criminal prosecution, that's going to send a message, not a precedential message, and that's going to be a defeat for former President Trump. And even if they do decide to hear that case, he is not going to win on his broader points that he's completely immune. And I think, again, that will redound to the benefit of the court's standing, which has certainly been tarnished unfairly, I think, in recent years.
You know, Sol, if I can just push you one more time, just your gut feeling on where this goes. I'm no lawyer, but I've watched enough legal shows, I think, to qualify as an expert. But in all seriousness, Jason Murray is getting a tough run from all the justices today, as we were discussing with David Spunt. And he, of course, is representing the Colorado voters in this particular case. I'm just wondering what's your feel of it and how this decision goes.
Oh, the Colorado Supreme Court its decision is going to be overturned. The only question is going to be by how much and on precisely what grounds. There are a number of different ways they can do it. They can say the provision is not self-executing, that Congress, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which is the key section, Congress has to allow for this, and they haven't, except in the criminal statute for insurrection. They can decide it that way. They can decide it, we're not going to have a bunch of different states deciding this question. We're not going to let the states decide it at all. They've been talking about the term limits case, which says that a state cannot put an extra qualification on the presidency that isn't in the Constitution. And this Section 3 says that Congress can waive somebody who engages in insurrection. And the argument is, wait a minute, this only applies to somebody holding office, and he hasn't even been elected yet. So there are a number of ways they can go, but Colorado is going to be reversed. That I can pretty much guarantee you.
All right, we'll watch closely. Sol, thank you very much. Great seeing you again.